I was listening to the story about, it was a story of a family in Washington, and the little boy called the Bigfoot the Cowboy Man. And he had, apparently it had made an effort to steal this kid. And it hit me. My children were in that playpen behind me with nothing but a mosquito net over them. It could have crept up behind me and taken both of my children, and I wouldn't have known.
His father just got like a Mustang or something from Wyoming, okay? He had it out in the corral because he couldn't put it in the barn in the stalls with the other horses. It would kick and made all the other horses nervous. Had a Seminole Indian working the horse trying to break it every day. So they had it out in the corral. This skunk ape snuck up behind this horse and grabbed it on its hindquarters. This particular horse kicks out, jumps over the corral, runs into the pasture, to get away. At this point, the rancher's out there just blasted away with the 30-30. Skunk ape runs into the swamp.
I went up there one day after that, or 2 days after that. I went up there and sat in the silence up there, and I'm telling you, man, it was free. It was crazy. There was a crazy vibe up there still. I did what I could to kind of get things under control, but I told her, I said, you need to get off this property. I feel like no matter how strong you are, it's almost like standing in the ocean. You can't stand still without moving your feet. You're going to get knocked over eventually, no matter how strong, whatever. You can't withstand a barrage of weird spiritual energy.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Paranormal Odyssey. I am your host, Wayne, joined as always by my partner in crime, Miss Tiffany. What's up, ma'am?
Not too much. I'm tired and sore. And I really, really love you guys because after I had that nice hot shower, I could have just put my jammies on and went to bed.
But you had more important stuff to do, correct?
Exactly. I wanted to be in here with my Paranormal Odyssey family, and we have a kick-ass show, just saying.
We got a really good show lined up for you guys. I'm excited about this one. Not only do we have Miss Krystal Blevins backstage, who is a friend of the show. She's been here a few times. But we also have Todd back there. Tonight's show is about the Bell Witch. Todd, he actually does like tours and stuff out there. So he knows a lot about the Bell Witch. So I'm very happy to have him. We are also going to share a video with you guys. It's about a 10-minute long video. After Tiffany and I get done paying the bills, so to speak, we are going to bring those two out, Todd and Krystal, and introduce them, talk to them a little bit, and then we're going to play that video, and then the rest of the show is just going to be all Bell Witch. So I'm really, really excited about tonight's show. Yes. Before we get there, though, who's this guy?
This is Nelson Lane. Look at that little goober. He's so cute.
What's he doing?
Zach, when he's in my car, we try to expand the passenger. I mean, because he's like tall and my car's like not big. It's not, tall people conducive. So he extends the headrest and Nelson just shoved his head in there today. He's like, this is what we're doing. And he kept it like that for a while.
He's a good boy.
Yes. That was the very first time he has ever played with a toy in his life.
That's so sad. I hate that.
Yeah. And he's fascinated with the TV. Okay. And he doesn't understand that there's nothing behind the screen. So he's watching TV and then he'll go and he'll look behind the screen and then he'll look at the front of the screen and then, and it's just, I'm like, buddy, ain't nothing there.
That's his heart. I mean, that's awesome. And it's sad at the same time because we were talking before we came on. Dogs are meant to be a part of the family. They're not meant to sleep outside and all of this. He knows nothing about being indoors. Mm-hmm. As you were saying, he wants to get back outside. He's uncomfortable. He's never been on a couch.
Mm-hmm. Nope. Zach put him on the couch. And I have so many of pictures of him now. I didn't put that one up there, but the first time he ever laid on a couch was yesterday, and he didn't even know how to get on it. So Zach picked him up and put him on the couch, and once he got his bearings and he got comfortable, I mean, it took him 7 hours to slow down. I'm not even lying, y'all. But he only slept 5 minutes, and then he was ready to get up again. But yeah, when he came in, now that's at the vet this morning for his wellness checkup, and he was so afraid to be in there that he was literally trying to climb that door to get out until she brought out the treats. And then he was fine. He got a stinky old rabies shot. He weighs 60 pounds.
Now, for those that don't know why he was a rescue, why he was turned in, was he was a hunting dog that wouldn't hunt. So he failed at hunting, so they gave him away. And that's shitty.
They just dropped him off at the shelter. And he's the bestest good boy. I stopped to get gas on the way home tonight, and the cashier came out from the little thing that they're in, and she was like, "Can he have some treats?" And I'm like, "Yeah, he sure can." I'm telling you, we gave him those treats, and he has the most toxic waste smelling gas ever. So we're like, like putting down the windows. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But no, he's a really good boy. He was afraid of everything. He was afraid of the refrigerator. He's afraid of the stairs. He if you name it in a house, he was afraid of it. But I have worked with him for about 36 hours. Now he will go up and down the stairs. He doesn't jump when you open the refrigerator anymore. He sleeps all night in his crate. I mean, and I, of course, sleep in the living room with him because I don't want him to be alone.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
But he's only been there a couple nights. I think he's going to fit in great with you guys.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome that you gave him a second chance
Yes.
at life. And he's only 3, so he's got a long time to be spoiled and play with toys and go on walks and all of that good stuff.
Yep. He went to
He's a member of your family now. So that's awesome.
Yes.
All right. As we were saying, we got an awesome show lined up for you guys. Let's pay some bills so that we can get to them. We're going to fly through this real quick. Let me go ahead, throw that up there. Anybody new to the show tonight, please take a second, hit that subscribe button. Help us continue to grow the show.
And if you would like to be on with Wayne and myself, we are filling up November, so the time is now. Wayne at paranormalworldproductions.com or me, Tiffany at paranormalworldproductions.com.
Want to ask everybody to head over to paranormalworldproductions.com, which is our website. You can sign up for the Bigfoot newsletter over there. Check out all the other shows under the studio's umbrella. As we hinted to last week, we got some cool stuff coming up. So, guys, head over to paranormalworldproductions.com.
And if you have any questions for either of our guests, please put them in all caps. We save them for the end of the show. Do a rapid fire question and answer. Just put them in all capital letters so I can see them, please.
Yeah, guys, that's important. Make sure that you put all of those. We realize some of you may be new, but this is your chance. We're letting y'all know. Please put all in. If you're asking a question, making a comment that you want shared, put them in all capital letters so that we can get to them, and we will share those at the end of the show. All right, guys, our membership is still open. We have accepted a few new members here lately. It's $1.99 a month. You get extra content. You get early access to content like the Spooky Sundays Tiffany has been putting out. You get those a few days early. You get members only lives that we do, a couple, sometimes 3 or 4 a month. So you get access to that. You get access to the members only Discord. There's all kind of perks to become a PO freak. So if you would like to take advantage of that, again, it is just $1.99 a month. And guys, if you look at the bottom, you see the Cash App and the Venmo. We have started doing that because YouTube likes to take their half. And I say half. I don't say percentage. I say it's almost a half what YouTube takes. So if anyone would like to help us, and there's so many of you guys that do supers every show that help us with extra money, we appreciate that so much. If you would rather just do it on here on YouTube, that's fine. But if you would like to help us out and not pay as much fees on that, you can get us at the Cash App or the Venmo. Miss Chris Blaylock has already done so on this episode. She hit us with another $25. So, guys, don't let Chris show you up. Help us out if you can.
Yes.
All right, we got a couple people backstage that we are going to go ahead and get to. Again, guys, tonight we are talking about the Bell Witch here in Tennessee. I'm in Tennessee. Miss Krystal Blevins is in Tennessee. And I'm assuming Todd is in Tennessee. Those are the people that we have backstage. So we're going to get them out here now to talk a little bit about this creepy thing called the Bell Witch. What's up, guys?
Hello.
Hello, how's everybody doing tonight?
I'm doing well. I'm assuming everyone else is doing well. Before we go any further, I want to wish Miss Ghostbait there, Krystal Blevins, a very, very happy birthday, ma'am. Today is your birthday, and you chose to spend it with us. Thank you so much.
Yes, happy birthday. I was telling you backstage, I love birthdays. Birthdays are amazing.
I stopped having them about 10 years ago.
Well, happy birthday, ma'am. It
Thank
means
you.
a lot. It means a lot that this is for all of us, that our birthday is our day. You know, one day a year, that's ours. And I know you've done other stuff today, but you chose to spend an hour or so with us. So I really appreciate that, ma'am. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
All right. Krystal has been on several times. Todd has not. Todd, please tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and how you are associated with this Bell Witch thing.
My name is Todd Eskew. I'm a co-founder of the Black Wolf Paranormal. We are the home team for the Bell Witch property. We run paranormal investigations at the cave once a month through the open season, which is May through November. And that's really about it. We are the first and only team that they've allowed to host paranormal investigations up there.
Oh, wow.
We're wrapping up our second season. Our last investigation for 2024 is coming up November 2nd. And I think we have a few tickets left for that.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. I'll give you a chance to share all of that toward the end of the show. Todd, I'll share the link for you and everything when we put the show notes out to, help you draw some activity that way.
Appreciate it.
Krystal, ma'am,
Yep.
please remind everyone about yourself, who you are, what you do, where they can find you, and all that cool stuff.
I'm just a hot mess. I'm just a solo investigator, of course, out of Tennessee. I've worked with Todd and his lovely wife Leanne a few times. And they're great. Yes, he is in Tennessee, but there's really not much more to tell. I'm just a.
Yeah, and you've been on a few times,
I'm just.
so
Yeah.
we're familiar with you, and I'm really really happy about this. Is kind of our Halloween special that we're doing tonight, guys. And if there's anything that, like our state of Tennessee, I'm a volunteer. I'm a huge Vols fan. I live here in Tennessee, and I'm proud of this state. I really, really am. I'm sure you two are too. But as far as the paranormal, the Bell Witch is what is like. That's like our claim to fame, right, guys? I mean, that's pretty much it, right?
That's one of the major
One of the few things, I guess.
Yeah, that's one of the major folklores for the state of Tennessee.
Yeah, and it's always consumed me. I've always been very, very interested in it, as I was saying, guys, we have a video. I'm going to go ahead and play that video now. Todd, Krystal, if there's anything at any point during the video, if y'all disagree or agree or want to emphasize something, let me know. We can pause it and talk about it. But it's only like a 10-minute video, so we will get through that, and then we'll continue the conversation.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Let me pull that up now. And guys, let me know that y'all can hear it okay and everything. And as always, there's ads. I'll do my best to get through those ads as quickly as possible.
There are many places which harbor darkness, otherworldly entities that
Can everybody
live in
hear
the
that okay?
shadows,
Yeah, I can hear it.
watching and stalking until the time is right. This is a story about one of those such places that housed a violent and terrifying entity. Today, here on Mystery Archives, we will be examining the legend of the Bell Witch. In the early 1800s, a man named John Bell moved with his family from North Carolina to Red River, Tennessee. He purchased some land and a large house for his growing family, and over the years acquired more land
And
for
I
a
don't know
total
if
of
that's an accurate
328
picture
acres.
or not.
During those
That's John
years,
Bell
Bell was
Sr.
not only busy with his family and
Okay.
his local community church, but was also hard at work clearing fields to make them viable for planting crops. One day, in 1817, John Bell was inspecting one of his cornfields when he encountered a strange-looking animal sitting in the middle of a corn row. As he walked closer, he stopped dead in his tracks. He had never seen an animal like this one. It had the body of a dog, but the head of a rabbit. He shot several times at the animal, but it seemingly vanished. Although creeped out, John dismissed the event and continued on with his day. He and his family sat down and had dinner, and then shortly after began to get ready for bed. As the family laid down their heads to sleep, they were startled by loud banging sounds on the outside walls of their log house. Gun in hand, John Bell ran outside to discover the source of the noise, only to discover that there was nothing there that he could see. Things were, as a matter of fact, unsettlingly quiet, almost silent, outside of the cabin. Trying to return to his senses, John reassured his family, and they proceeded to return to bed. However, this would be far from the Bells' last restless night. The mysterious sounds returned the next night, just as the Bells were attempting to sleep. John, and now his sons as well, rushed outside to apprehend whoever or whatever was causing the disruption. But again, they were unable to find anything. In the weeks that followed, the Bell children began waking up, frightened. They complained to their parents that rats were gnawing at their bedposts and shaking their beds. Not long after this, the children also complained that their bed covers were being pulled from them and their pillows being thrown across the room by something they couldn't see. As time went on, the Bells began hearing faint, whispering voices, which, too weak to understand, sounded like a feeble old woman singing hymns. The encounters further escalated when the Bells' youngest daughter, Betsy, began experiencing brutal abuse at the hands of an invisible entity. It would pull her hair and slap her relentlessly, often leaving welts and handprints on her face and body. The disturbances, which John Bell told his family to keep a secret, eventually escalated to such a point that he decided to share his family trouble with his closest friend and neighbor, James Johnston. Johnston and his wife spent the night at the Bell home, where they were subjected to the same terrifying activity that the Bells had experienced. After having their bed covers removed and slapped repeatedly, Johnston sprang out of his bed and screamed, "In the name of the Lord, who are you and what do you want?" There was no response. What started as a whisper strengthened over time to the point to where it was loud and unmistakable. The voice sang hymns, quoted scripture, and even carried on intelligent conversations. This included even once quoting word for word 2 sermons that were preached at the same time, on the same day. News of the supernatural happenings soon spread outside of the settlement, even to Nashville, where then Major General Andrew Jackson took a keen interest. John Bell and his older sons had fought under General Jackson in the Battle of New Orleans. In 1819, Jackson decided to visit the Bell farm to see what was really going on for himself. As he approached the Bell farm with a party of several men, well-groomed horses, and a wagon, the wagon suddenly stopped, and the horses couldn't pull it. After several minutes of cursing and trying to coax the horses into pulling the wagon, Jackson proclaimed, "By the eternal, boys, that must be the Bell Witch." This remark was preceded by a disembodied female voice that told Jackson that he could proceed and that she would see him again later that evening. The wagon then was able to be moved again, and Jackson and his party made their way to the Bell home, where Jackson proceeded to have a long discussion about a wide range of topics, including the paranormal activity. One of the men in Jackson's party was a supposed witch tamer. He proclaimed this while brandishing a small shiny pistol filled with 1 silver bullet, and said that nothing was happening because of the entity's fear of him. Only seconds after this statement left the man's mouth, he began to jerk violently, his body shifting in different directions. He was then thrown out the front door as everyone in the house heard a loud female voice curse the man as a fraud. Now terrified, Jackson's men begged to leave the Bell farm, but Jackson, on the other hand, insisted on staying so that he could ascertain if the phenomena was real or not. The men, including Jackson, spent the night, and what happened isn't clear, but the crew left very early the following morning and headed back to Nashville. And although it wasn't officially documented, Jackson would later write that he would rather fight the British in New Orleans than to have to fight the Bell Witch. The paranormal activity continued to plague the family for years to come. It notably caused Betsy Bell, the Bell's eldest daughter, to call off her engagement amongst other notable interactions. And on December 20th, 1820, John Bell had slipped into a coma and took his last breath. The following day, the family found a small vial of unidentified liquid in the cupboard. John Bell Jr. gave some to one of the family's cats, which died within a matter of seconds. The entity then spoke up and said, "I gave old Jack a big dose of that last night, and it fixed him up." John Bell Jr. then threw the vial into the fireplace, where it burst into a bright bluish flame. John Bell was then formally laid to rest just days later. That wasn't the end of the visitations, however. In April of 1821, the entity visited John Bell's widow, Lucy, and told her that it would return every 7 years. And 7 years to the day, it did return for the first time and visited with John Bell Jr. The creature discussed a wide range of topics, from the origin of life, civilization, and more. It was even said to predict things like the Civil War and both world wars, among others. This would be the last time the entity was heard from, after it promised to visit the most direct descendant of John Bell in 107 years. The year was 1935, and the closest living relative was Dr. Charles Bailey Bell. Charles did write a book about the Bell Witch, but never recorded any such visitation, and never would. The entity that plagued the Bell family and the Red River settlement over 200 years ago is often blamed for strange and unexplainable manifestations that occur near the old Bell farm today. The faint sounds of people talking, children playing, and even an old woman whispering have been reported, alongside seeing ghostly figures and lit candles in an empty field where the settlement once was. The cave located near the property is said to have originally housed the witch that plagued the Bells. Visions of a ghostly woman have been seen over the years since John Bell's demise. Since no one who witnessed the apparition of the Bell Witch is alive today, we can't ever know for sure what happened on that large stretch of land. But the pages of history still whisper the frightening tale, and the legend lives on. So what do you
All right. What do y'all think? Todd, you being the expert tonight, how accurate, as far as you know, as much as you've studied it, how accurate is that portrayal?
It's fairly accurate. I mean, the photos were wrong. The gentleman that they showed in the photos was John Bell Jr.
Okay.
Pretty much everything else along the way was pretty spot on, you know, with the stories and the folklore of everything that went on. One of the things that they did leave out is that Tennessee is the only state that has recognized a murder or death caused by the paranormal. And that was John Bell's death on December 20th of 1820.
No, Todd, before we move on, repeat that. Tennessee is the only state that what?
That has recognized a person's death to the supernatural.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's just one of those tidbits.
So there's no other state of the 50 that has ever recognized an actual death to be done by the paranormal.
Correct.
Wow. That's awesome. I've never heard of that. That's very, very interesting. All right. Crystal, how did you take that video? What, fairly accurate? Have you heard anything different?
No, I mean, there's so many stories out there. I mean, Hollywood's kind of blew that up a little bit, I think. But, I mean, like you said, it's pretty accurate from what I've always heard as far as the facts or the actual recorded facts of what really happened. Of course, I'm a descendant of Kate Batts. So
I remember you saying that.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard that. I mean, I've heard things all my life, but I've only heard that she was just a strange little woman. And the word witch was just used so loosely back then. So
okay, so was Kate Bat? Was she an actual person, or is this folklore?
She was an actual person. She was a neighbor to the Bell family. She owned the property next door.
Okay,
which is where my family line comes in there. I'm related to that particular family.
Okay, so that's confirmed. The Kate, she actually existed. The family actually existed.
Yes.
So we have that, and anything else, I guess, has just been come from speculation or what?
It's just stories that have been handed down through the year, just like any kind of folklore that goes on through time. You know, people will add and twist things to the current narrative.
Yeah.
You know, add things to make it a little bit more interesting. But everything that was in that video clip is pretty much the folklore that has come down through the years. I mean, the Bell family moved here from North Carolina in 1804 and bought 320 acres up there in Robertson, Tennessee, or Robertson County in Adams, Tennessee.
Okay. And Todd, how close do you live to the property?
I'm about 30, 45 minutes away.
Okay. What got you interested in it? Well, like what started your interest in the whole Bell Witch thing?
Growing up for years from, very, very young age, my family would go up there and visit the cave periodically, usually around the Halloween season, of course. All the way fast forward to where me and my wife would take our son up there, and he's 26 now or 25. And we would go up there and just spend a lot of time on the farm. This here recently, we went up there to do a tour, sat down with the family that owns the cave, and pretty much became instant best friends. And we got the opportunity to start leading investigations up there.
So there is a family that actually owns the property where the cave is at?
Yes, they own again, the original farm was 320 acres. They own approximately 100 acres today. The Bell family still owns the remainder of the 220 acres.
Really?
Yeah.
So what Bell family?
It's
Are they
just
still known as? I mean, is their last name still Bell?
yes, they're still the Bells up there,
Really?
and they're just descendants throughout the years.
That's interesting.
There's nothing in this town. What is there, Todd? Like, is there a Dollar General maybe?
There's a Dollar General, a gas station, and the post office,
Yeah,
and a barbecue restaurant.
All right, Krystal.
Yeah.
You have been there a few times.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any of those experiences that stand out to you that you would like to share? Any of the times that you've been there?
I mean, the property itself has never scared me per se.
Yeah, you're not afraid of anything. You've cleared that.
Well, that's true. That's true, but that's fair. But I mean, the cave is absolutely the most active to me personally. The land
Really?
itself has a whole feel to it. As soon as you arrive there, I mean, you feel it. To
Now, when
me,
you said active, what do you mean by active?
oh, now you know what I mean. There's those little things we call ghosts. Todd, he's never been investigating, so he doesn't even he won't investigate.
Well, I can tell you that the Bell Witch property, as part of our investigations up there, we investigate 3 locations on the property. We investigate the cave, of course. We also investigate the cabin, which is a replica cabin that is a replica of the original John Bell family home.
Now, how accurate is that, Todd?
The best of my knowledge is it's pretty spot on. It's got the 2 rooms downstairs and an attic space upstairs with a dog trot and all that throughout, and then has like a summer kitchen off the back.
Okay.
Todd, isn't some of that stuff in that cabin like actually from the Bell cabin?
Yeah. There's some original relics in the back room of the cabin.
Wow.
And the last part that we investigate is the Indian burial ground and the haunted dell, which is the back portion of the property. Now
that burial ground is something that's Todd's favorite spot, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's something. It's intense.
And
okay, yes, talk about it, Todd.
With that location too, you have all the elements of a haunting. Not only do you have the Red River that flows through the backyard, you've got all the limestone that's up there, and you've also got a set of railroad tracks that's just right down the way. Everything that we've done up there, and we've kind of formed our own opinion of what we think the Bell Witch is. Just through paranormal investigation, through investigating with other people, just collectively, what we've seen and read and researched through all the folklore, and the fact that the land up there is very, very Native American. There is a lot of Indian up there. Like I said, we've got an Indian burial ground that we investigate, that we show the utmost respect before every investigation that we do up there. And we've had some very interesting things happen during our investigations. We've had everything up there from full body apparitions showing themselves in the doorways of the cabin. We've heard disembodied voices throughout the cave, light anomalies, shadow figures in the cave, and especially up on the Indian burial ground. It's more of a feel up there than anything of feeling energies. You can feel a pulse. You can feel a heartbeat. There's areas up there that you feel like you're being watched. We've actually had pictures that guests have caught what looks like a Indian woman in full getup, knelt down picking up a child. We've also had, I guess it was our July event, we had a guest take a picture of the Indian mound and captured what looked like a campfire on the hill. It was 97 degrees that night. There was no campfire on the hill. There's no remnants or whatever of a fire being there. And in this photo, you can see one or maybe two people around this campfire in Indian style dress. So, but not only that, when we get out and investigate the rest of the property, we get the trifecta up there.
There it is. That's what he's been waiting on.
We get, not only did we get the paranormal, we get a little ufology as well. And we also have some Squatch activity on the property.
I knew it. He his face changed right there.
We've had people out, and in the tree lines you can see the big shadows of what look like giants or Squatch. You can see the eye shine. You can see the the pixelated predator vision, I guess you could call it, in the tree line. But it is very, very active. We haven't had an event out there that somebody hasn't caught something. And like I said, it's been a blast. We've enjoyed it.
So you've actually had, you believe you've had Bigfoot activity out there?
Absolutely. We've had tree knocks. We've had.
Listen to Krystal laugh. Why are you laughing at, Krystal?
No, nothing. Go ahead. Carry on.
We've had tree knocks. Again, the shadows, the eye shine. We had a gentleman by the name of Greg Yost. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
I've heard of Greg Yost, yes.
He Squatch Man. He came out to one of our events, and he very rarely does a call. And we were out on the in the Haunted Dell area on the back of the property, and he let out a call, and within seconds he had 2 responses.
Really?
From 2 different directions, and it was a very eventful night. The eye shine that showed up that night was crazy. It's and you can feel that energy as well. The feel like you're being watched, or feel that, and to me it's a rush type energy.
Todd, is that you that gets rocks thrown that you get rocks thrown, right?
Yeah, I wasn't going to go there, but yeah.
But I love that story. I do.
Yeah, please share.
My first time ever going out squatching was with our paranormal family, and we were up in the forest up in Indiana, and there was a group of us, and we had just got done with a investigation at Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary. The next night we drove out to Indiana and was out in the forest with Greg, and he was pointing out some stuff. There was a group sitting on a picnic table, probably about 15, 20 yards from where I was sitting. And my friend Ernie and Greg were standing out there and, kind of pointing some things out. And then you hear Ernie kind of hush everybody and kind of point. And you can hear coming through the trees, just that at a pretty good clip coming through the trees.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and I'm just kind of leaned back, relaxing, because I was the driver, and just kind of taking it all in. and you hear that coming through the trees, and there's a cooler right here. And all of a sudden, it goes wham! A rock, something hit that cooler pretty hard. I come about that high up off the seat. I peed a little. But from that night forward, I've had, including that night, I've had about 5 or 6 instances.
Let me interrupt you real quick. My next T-shirt, I think, is going to be "I peed a little," and I'm going to give you royalties, Todd.
That works.
Go ahead.
But about 5 other occurrences have happened to where we've had Squatch activity, and shortly thereafter, something has been thrown at me. They haven't hit me yet, but it's been thrown. And, these are locations that we look at as primarily paranormal locations. Gates of Hell Cemetery up in Kentucky. Fort Duffield up in West Point, Kentucky.
What did you say? Gates of Hell in Kentucky?
Casey Cemetery in Kentucky.
Yeah, that's what they call it.
Gates of Hell.
Yeah, it's a very old cemetery and in Elizabethtown, and it's a trip.
Yeah, that sounds very inviting.
Yeah, as you
Let's
can
go
see,
down to the gates of hell.
Yeah.
It's actually the living there that's scary.
Yeah. They do a lot of. So it's been said that they do a lot of ritual type stuff there. And
Krystal, I find everywhere you go, it's the living that is what's scary.
It is.
Yeah, that.
I'm scared of the living, not the dead.
Exactly. And when I go out on our Bigfoot investigations, I always carry. I got my 45 on my hip at all times.
But let me
And
ask
I
you
always tell people it's not for a Bigfoot or anything else. It's for crazy ass people.
Do you find that you get more or less activity when you carry?
Probably less.
Okay, that's what I would expect. I mean, it's like when we
and Todd, real quick, Todd, before we go on, my group, Manimal Research, we get out, we do investigations. I founded Manimal Research in 2019, and we get out, we do all kind of investigations. As a rule, I do not allow long guns because I really believe that Bigfoot know what long guns are. So that's why I carry like a sidearm, like a pistol on my hip. There's still questions, can they smell it? Can they smell like the grease and the gunmetal and all that stuff? I don't know. But we don't carry long guns at all.
Yeah. I think when we go out, I think the first time I ever went out, I carried, and since then I haven't. And I've had more activity unarmed out there than I have any time I've ever been armed.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that, but I mean, what's more important, your life or gathering evidence?
Right. Well, I get it. Trust me. But I got crazy white women with me. I don't have to carry a gun.
Occasionally, he has like 3 crazy women.
There's something about them crazy white women.
But, like Denise was saying in the chat, what we found when we go out on the Squatch side is, they don't like the white light. They don't like the infrared cameras or the full spectrum type cameras. It's just kind of different. But we've gone out as far as, doing squatching, and just happened to have our paranormal equipment in the vehicle with us and set some of our REM pods and some stuff like that up out on the trails and such, and have actually had some pretty good communication squatching with our paranormal equipment.
So Todd, you do both like paranormal and Bigfoot investigations?
Yes.
All right. Yeah. We haven't got together on a definitive date yet, but Krystal is going to take me ghost hunting and I'm going to take her Bigfoot hunting, but we haven't come up with anything just yet. So looking forward.
Krystal, you know we've got the perfect place to do both of those.
Where's
I
that?
do.
Yeah, you do.
I do.
West Point, Kentucky.
Oh, that is right. Yes. See, you had me lost there for a second.
You've got potential access to the most haunted house in Kentucky, the Ditto House Inn.
Is that the guy
And-
you sent to me, Krystal?
Yeah. Yeah,
Ernie?
he's had Ernie on before.
Yeah, I've had Ernie on.
Yep, that'd be Ernie Pack, and he also runs the paranormal investigations up at Fort Duffield. They're our best friends. They're family.
Well, that's where we need to go then, Krystal.
Yeah.
Get them both out of the way.
I don't think you can handle it.
Now, why would you say that?
She's being honest.
Well, you know the mention about the two crazy white women? That would be my wife and Denise Pack. So,
Okay. Ernie's wife.
yeah. So
Yeah. That was a fun show. I had a great time hanging out with Ernie. That was really cool.
But and they have the trifecta up at the fort as well. So, but kind of back to the Bell Witch. I mean, there's like I said, there's all sorts of activity that goes on up there. With this past investigation, which was October 17th, we had I'm going to call it a light anomaly, but they had a oil lantern in the cabin that they had lit, and the lantern went out completely, and then they asked for it to come back on, and on command it reignited. And not only did it reignite, what you typically have on a oil lantern is that single flame. This was in a flame of 3. And then it would go out and then come back on command. I believe that video is on our the Black Wolf Paranormal page. Again, the cabin is where we have the full body apparition in the summer kitchen, in which was where the relics are. And if you look at that picture on our webpage and then go back to that picture that you had in that video of John Bell Jr., we actually had a member of the Bell family reach out to us and told us that looked like John Bell Jr.
Really?
And you can go back to that picture and look at the details in that picture and look at that full body apparition, and you can see where he's holding the cane. You can see the collar. You can see the hairline. I mean, it's creepy, but really a cool catch. Joe Crow out of Georgia was the one that caught that picture.
Okay. All right. Very cool.
Leanne, if Leanne's on, if she can send me that picture, I can forward it.
Yeah, please do. We'll get that shared. In the meantime, though, Tiffany, if you don't mind, I've got to step away for just a second. Let's get to some of these questions. We got several of them. Tiffany, you want to take care of that?
There's 13. I can. Let's see. Bristol's here is just a jab at Wayne. I thought Tennessee's claim to fame was obnoxious football fans.
Yes, they are. That is
I second that one.
I am a born and raised in the state of Tennessee. Been here all my life, but I am a diehard Bama fan. Roll Tide.
Me too.
You matched. Oh, let's see. Troy is talking about the where you look in the mirror and you say that 3 times.
Troy, did you ever do that as a kid and ever see her appear in the mirror or get the scratch?
He said, I'm 56 and I still haven't tried it.
Try.
But I mean, the thing about that story or that folklore or that whatever you want to call that, I think it applies to and I'm going to get these wrong. It applies to Bloody Mary,
Mhm.
Bell Witch, and there's a third one, and I can't ever remember what it is, but it's kind of a West Coast thing.
Mhm.
But I think that's all just in your mind's eye.
Maybe, I don't know. See, Denise Pack said it. She said it like right that very second that they were talking about this in the chat, and she said nothing happened, that she's going to try it at midnight. So I told her she's going to have to report back and let us know what happens.
Well, we have to remind Beetlejuice. We have to remind Ernie and Denise from time to time that their house is haunted, and so that's one of the big things. So,
well, that's what I told him. I said, you're going to upset all your ghosties by doing all this. But that's funny. And then Troy from Tennessee said that he is your neighbor by way of the crow.
All right. Yeah, we live in Gallatin, Tennessee. We're just kind of northeast of Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And then Mike Wolf, which I think he just left. So what do you think it is? And he is referring to the Bell Witch.
The Bell Witch, and again, I don't guess I finished my thought earlier. Ernie can chalk that up to me having a stroke. But what we feel through all of our investigations, through all of our research, and through the way that she is described and some of the things that the Bell Witch is quoted as saying, we feel that the Bell Witch is a earth elemental. That whatever John Bell did to the Indians, to the land, to the people up there, he did something that pissed this elemental off. As you've heard her describe herself through the folklore, is I am of heaven, I am of hell. I've always been here and I always will be here. And that is the perfect example or the perfect definition of an elemental.
And that is creepy as hell.
Yes. Yeah, like I said, I don't, it's not Kate. That's just my opinion. I almost feel like Kate is a protector of the property more than anything.
And that's the elemental. It's the protector of the property, protector of the land. The Trail of Tears ran through that area. So we think it's very native. Mm-hmm. There's some people, and this kind of goes to what Krystal is referring to is Kate. Kate Batts was the neighbor. She did have a feud with John Bell or really just John Bell. I think Kate herself was accused at one point of being a witch, but like back in that time, she could have been working with herbs and spices, making teas, and they would have considered her a witch.
That's what I've heard all my life in my family. She was just a strange little woman who just was earthy and did all the witchy things. That term was just so loose back, especially then.
I mean, you had the Salem witch trials and all that going on back in the day too. So I mean, she could have just been out sweeping her front porch one day and kicked up some dust and been labeled a witch. Yeah. But as far as her relationship to the Bell Witch, there was a time that the Bell Witch referred to herself by the name of Kate. So almost like she was just sharing the name Kate. And I think that was kind of along the lines of where Kate Batts got drug into the Bell Witch storyline. But,
okay.
My kid's trying to photobomb. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You're okay.
That's what we, the Black Wolf, have determined, or our opinion of what the Bell Witch is being an earth type elemental.
Okay.
When I sent those pictures to you that he was referring to earlier, there should be in your inbox.
And Russell's asking, is that there something about John Bell's grave marker not being his actual grave site?
I'm not for sure exactly where you're referring to, but there is a monument that is located on the Bell or on the current farm that signifies the center of the original 320 acres. From that marker, I think it's 16 poles or something like that. It's roughly 45 or 50 yards away on the original Bell property is the site of John Bell's original grave. He is still there as far as we know. His original grave marker had been destroyed, and they've kind of, like I said, turned that part of the property into private property now. But a new marker has been installed there, and he and his wife, from what I understand, are still buried there today.
Awesome. Cindy Bailey wants to know, do you think it's a demon of sorts brought on through the elders for the Indians?
I do not think there's anything whatsoever demonic about that property.
Not at all. I mean, not at all for me either.
And I'll go as far as saying, anywhere you go, everybody's going to throw up, it's demonic this or demonic that when they run into a dark entity or something that is foul. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things to where if you are an asshole in life, you're going to be an asshole in death.
We hear that often.
But, I don't know why people think everything that is dark is demonic or everything that has an attitude is demonic.
TV.
There's isn't there like correct me if I'm wrong, Todd, actually stories of where she was actually helping children out of the cave. She's not like that. Like I don't know, she was helping, was it the Bell children?
Yeah, there's a couple of the Bell boys got out and were explicitly told not to go play in the cave. They made their way down to the cave, got into the first room of the cave, climbed up one of the breakdowns to get up into the upper room, got caught in the mud up there. And the Bell Witch came in, found the boy, pulled him out by his feet, and actually made it back up to the house long before the boy did and told on him. So, she helped people along the way. She was very respectful and very nice to John Bell's wife. There's other stories out there to where she helped people throughout the town. And
okay, I've got the two pictures that Krystal sent me ready to go up. There's one.
Pull that one back down and put up the other one. So if you look in that picture, Joe Crow took a series of about 12 photos. That picture right there is picture number 8. If you look in the doorway, you can see the start of a manifestation in the doorway. Mm-hmm. Go ahead and pull up the other picture. That's picture number 9 in that series. And as you can see a head, shoulders, the jacket or vest. You can see how his hands are either resting on something or a cane. You can almost see the cane in the photo. Now that picture of John Bell Jr. that they showed in that video, if you could look at this photo and zoom in and get a little more detail and compare it to that photo, you can see the resemblance. And that was actually, he sent this to us, and, we were all, just like anybody in the paranormal, when you get that key piece of evidence, you get all giddy. But, we actually had somebody from the Bell family reach out to us and say that they believe that photo there is John Bell Jr.
Really? Oh, wow.
That's crazy. What would you do if you saw that, Wayne?
Poop.
He wouldn't just pee a little. He would just full on poop.
I had to ask that.
Yeah, Crystal acting like she knows me and everything. You're probably right, though, ma'am. You are.
Now the cave, though, I helped them out. Was that last year, right, Todd?
Is it
Yeah,
last year or the
last
first
year.
quarter this year?
I think it was last year. But I mean, I spent an exceptional amount of time in the cave that night for the actual first time ever. And I mean, once you get to the back of that cave, you're hearing full blown conversations. Can't really make it out sometimes,
Now,
but there's a lot.
that's really interesting. Now that you bring that up, Crystal, are you allowed? I mean, you're capable of going all the way to the back of the cave?
There are 2 rooms that are accessible in the cave, and as part of the investigation, we do investigate both rooms. There is a rock feature in the back that is called Eagle Rock. It's a flow stone at the back of the cave that we're not allowed to go beyond. There's a natural spring that feeds the cave that is beyond that. And so we get to investigate back there and the first room. And we were lucky enough to be there this past year for the eclipse and do an investigation. Just Leanne, myself, and a couple of the day tour guides. And we were in the cave for, I don't know, about an hour. And we were at the back of the cave doing our investigation, running some EVP work and just kind of being quiet and listening. And we heard 2 ladies' voices coming from the front room. We thought it was Candy and her mother, the owners, coming back to join us or check on us. And it sounded exactly like them talking. I mean, voices and everything. And the voices would get louder and louder, and we're thinking they were getting closer to us. So we stopped and kind of stood there for a minute, and then absolutely nothing. We called out, got no response. We walked back through the little corridor and back into the first room. They weren't there. And we got to the gate, and the gate was still closed and latched from where we had latched it when we came in. So we set up a recorder and went back up on the property to take in the eclipse, and left the recorder running for about 45 minutes in the cave with nobody in there. And we knew nobody was in there because, again, we locked the cave behind us. Get back down there, get the recorder, get home, get it loaded up on the computer, and started listening to it. And within the first 15 minutes of the recorder, there were 3 or 4 different conversations going on. You could hear children, you could hear 2 men talking, and the 2 women that we heard while we were in the cave, you could hear them talking on that EVP. And I still haven't gone through the entire 45 minutes yet. So
That is awesome.
Okay. Let's move on. Chris Blaylock. Do you think the Indian burial ground intensified the activity? Good question.
that's a very good question. I believe that anything that you do with the Native Americans and the energy that they put into the earth in the areas that they were in, you're going to get increased activity, especially if you show respect. If you go in there, guns a-blazing, on commanding and provoking and this, that, and the other, you probably won't get anything, or just be careful. You may get more than you expected. But yes, I think the fact that it is an Indian burial ground and the whole area up there, with it being the Trail of Tears, an Indian burial ground, having the river, we've seen maps of different tribes that had encampments up there that are just, I don't think it could be any other way.
I think y'all found several, like, just bodies, right? Like, well, possible bodies with the ground penetration.
Yeah, we had a friend of ours come up and do run some ground penetrating radar. The first time he came up, the family thought they had a dozen or so graves up there. First time he came up, he got his GPR out and was running, and it wouldn't work. Just like you take any kind of electrical equipment on an investigation, that it dies. So he had to load it all back up and everything. So I took a set of dowsing rods and walked back and forth across the property. And everywhere that the rods would cross, I'd put a stick in the ground. So I found about 8 or so. So I figured I found most of them. So I stopped. Billy came back up about 2 weeks later. He set up his grid and started running across the property. And everywhere I had a stick in the ground, he hit a void. And not only did he find the 8 that I found, he found a total of 60 more, for a total of 68 graves up there on the property.
Oh, wow.
So the interesting thing about it, though, is what you and I think of as a grave today, being a 6 foot long by 3 foot wide void. These were 2x2s and 2x3s. After doing the research from the tribes that were in the area, several Indian tribes would bury their deceased in the fetal position, sitting up, facing a certain direction. And that would explain the smaller graves. Of course, we had people say, oh, it was children, or it was this, or it was a mass grave, or it was body parts. So,
yeah. All right, Scott Trent asking, what do you think makes the property special or different from other surrounding areas?
Scott, the entire city of Adams, Tennessee is haunted. I would hard press you to go anywhere up there in Adams and not feel the energy being a little off. I'm not exactly for sure how close it is to I think it's the 32nd or 37th parallel, right there with Octagon Hall and a couple of those areas. So, I mean, just that whole area up there has a history, and I believe the whole area up there is somewhat haunted, if you want to, for lack of a better term.
Okay. All right, moving on. Troy, do you have any experiences with Dogman, and what are your beliefs on what it might be?
We've had one experience with what we think might have been a Dogman. Haven't had enough experiences to really understand or done a whole lot of research on Dogman. We believe they do exist, just like Bigfoot. We do actually in the process of trying to schedule a trip out to the Land Between the Lakes area to do a little deeper dive into the Dogman. So
let me know when you're there, buddy. I want to show up.
We'll definitely make a group out of it.
Yeah, I love it there. Troy and I camped out there back in January, I think, of this year. I mean, it rained the whole damn time, so we didn't get a whole lot of activity, but I do want to go back.
I think the last time where we thought we may have had a Dogman experience was on the cave property, and it was in one of the tree lines, and it didn't look like any shadow or anything like we had ever seen before. The way it was looking around the trees, it kind of it was a big, bulky figure, but it had a long neck that was kind of slumped over and would kind of peer around the tree at us and then go back. So,
which kind of explains the animals that John Bell saw.
Oh, here's another fun fact for you. One of the animals that John Bell claimed to see was either a black dog or a black wolf with red eyes. It took me a
Mr.
minute.
Black Wolf, Mr. Black Wolf Paranormal there.
It took me a minute to put it together, but our logo is a black wolf with red eyes.
Wow.
I think we were halfway through our first season, and I thought, I've been telling the story this whole time, and I was sitting there looking at our logo, at our banner, going, "Hell, we are the black wolf with red eyes."
It takes the Todd a little bit of time.
Easy.
All right. All right, guys, we are here well over an hour, about an hour and 10 minutes in. I want to thank you guys so very much for taking the time to hang out with us, Krystal, on your birthday. Todd, it's great getting to know you, buddy. I would love to have you back to talk about some of your paranormal stuff.
That'd be great.
All right. Very, very cool. Again, Krystal, happy birthday, ma'am.
Thank you.
So much.
Yes.
Thank you so much for
Thank
taking
you.
the time to hang out with us tonight. Todd, you as well. Thank you, buddy.
If I may, we still have, and it's the Black Wolf Paranormal. Leanne will put the link or the Facebook link in the chat.
Okay.
We also have 3 tickets left for the November 2nd event, which is this weekend at the Bell Witch Cave. Those tickets can be bought through the Black Wolf Paranormal. Again, I'll make sure we put the in front of that. It's the Black Wolf Paranormal.
Okay.
We will also be having another event in December. It's December the 13th. It's a Friday the 13th event. We host the investigations at Trousdale Place in Gallatin, Tennessee. It's another historic Civil War home, and all the proceeds and everything for that event goes back into the historic location. And
Very cool.
Again, watch our The Black Wolf Paranormal Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, because we will be posting other events that we're involved with, like the ones up the spirits, squatches, and stories around the campfire that we helped with Pac-Man Paranormal, Ernie and Denise, up at Fort Duffield in West Point, Kentucky.
Okay. All right. Awesome, guys. Thank you so very much for taking the time to come and hang out with us. We really, really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Y'all enjoy the rest of your evening.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
How cool.
All right. Very cool. I learned so much
I know.
about the Bell Witch.
Spooky knowledge. They came and laid spooky knowledge on us.
All right. You got anything else, ma'am, before we get up out of here?
I don't. I'm gonna go rescue my baby daughter because she's so tired, but she can't leave Mr. Nelson because he may pee.
They may not.
He may not, but he may. He's only had one accident today. We don't want to break it.
All right. We're going to get out of here, guys. Say goodbye, ma'am.
Goodbye. I hope you all have a spooky Halloween and a safe Halloween, and do come back and see us.
Very, very cool. All right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. Y'all take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Bye.
Bye.
Later. Are we clear?
No.
No.